What's up, beautiful people? How y'all making out today? Welcome back to another edition of Five with Fave. Well, we talk about, I guess, my favorite subjects, whether it's top 5 food, top 5 movie, top 5 players, whatever the case may be, is Five with Fave. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and shouts out to our segment sponsors, Small Sliders, for all that they do for the show, Marrero Motors, along with Godwin Realty, Conquer Sports Pros. Shouts out to our network that streams us daily here, New Orleans Talk Network. Tarek and Mike do an excellent job over here streaming the show. And, of course, baby, powered by ESPN Radio, ESPN New Orleans 100.3 FM. You can check us out there weekly, 6 to 8, Inside the Trenches, definitely. Well, for this Five with Fave, I wanted to focus on not only who I think are the next stars, but pay homage to a guy that just recently retired, who's arguably one of the better, or one of the best, should I say, defensive linemen to play the game, in Aaron Donald. You know, this game has seen Reggie White. We've seen John Randle. You know, I had the pleasure of playing with guys like Dwight Freeney. Tons of great pass rushers, defensive ends, defensive tackles. I think what Aaron Donald represented as a player in his 10 years, right? He get drafted in 2014 and retires this past season. So he put together one heck of a resume, played all across the line, was successful at interior line, wherever you needed to put him. I mean, I know it's a lot of offensive coordinators, offensive line coaches glad this guy's retired because he's definitely wreaked havoc his entire time in the NFL. But now I want to take a closer look at who will be the next 5 guys, who the next 5 stars are in the league, who's going to be, I don't want to say the next Aaron Donald or Reggie White, but who's going to show that the position that I love, the position that I played professionally on a college level, and even, you know, Pee Wee high school, you name it, what guy is going to represent this next crew of folks to come through in a way, how could I explain this, that not only electrifies the position, but, you know, also gives us, I mean, we know defense wins championships, so whenever over time, think about it. Deion Sanders, you look back at even in his time at LSU and in the league, Tyrann Mathieu, New Orleans' very own, just like different players defensively who've been electrifying and fun to watch. So at number 5 on this list, now this guy hadn't even made it to the NFL yet, but I think out of young defensive tackles, he has a lot of potential, and that guy is Byron Murphy III, was drafted in the first round by the Seattle Seahawks. Really good pick for Seattle. They can use some electricity on their offense, on the defensive line. So if you look at this kid's production in college, when you look at what I like to call the tail of the tape, you have a player that not only plays very stout on the run, but plays with good leverage on every play. Now, coming from a guy who was, as a player, was 6'1", 200, at times 295 pounds in college, at times 314 in college. You know, I stayed within there, of course, in the pros. I was more of a bowling ball, got up to like 340, and, you know, the rest is pretty much history. But when you look at a guy like Byron Murphy and what he's able to really reintroduce to that position, you look at 6'1" defensive linemen over the years, guys like Warren Sapp, you know, guys, even like my old teammate, Glenn Dorsey. I mean, these guys really, for low center gravity, leverage guys, they dominate the game. And that's all you see on tape with a guy like Byron Murphy. He's number 5 on my list. I can imagine this guy, when I do this list next year, he might shoot up the list. I'm just saying he has all the tools. And he was coached by my old coach, who's now back at LSU. Shouts out to Bo Davis, who's the defensive line coach there. All right, number 4 on my list, Now Mike Terrick, I don't want to see any eyes all looking up in the studio. He does play for the Dallas Cowboys, but he has a lot of potential. I even said that the Saints was going to draft this guy if he was still on the board last year. Mason Smith of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, he's number 4 on the list, and of course I have to put him in front of Murphy because now Smith has now had those live reps in the NFL. So he's had production now in the NFL. But when I put him on this list in Michigan, he was a dog. I mean, obviously that defense has made tons of noise, but, 6'3", 337 pounds, big guy, but very athletic, does the twist game really good up front. Even his tape back at Michigan, you saw somebody that really dominated on that level. And then, of course, on a team like Dallas, like, think about this. You have Michael Parsons coming off of the edge, right? Parsons coming off of the edge. Dallas could use somebody with a little bit of what I like to say versatility on the interior line, that could pass rush, play the run pretty good. This kid is stout. They drafted him with the 26th pick last year, and he had a sack. He had 13 total. His production wasn't there, right? I look back at a few of the games last year, and a couple times he played high, a couple times he got knocked out of his gap. A few things that we saw he could improve in his game, but I do think the reason I put him 4th on this list because I think he's loaded with potential. Now, number 3, we're going to love this locally down here in the 504, baby. I think in last year's draft, we did get a jewel with our first-round pick and Brian Bresee. He's number 3 on my list for the next NFL lineman to blow. Or should I say, take it on to the next level, baby. Boom! I'm next. Let's get it. All right, so if you want to comment on this and you want to give your take, do you think I'm right where I need to be with this list? When we finish or so far, y'all, hit me up on X at BigFave504. I love to get feedback from y'all, see y'all thoughts on my list. Does it look pretty consistent with the flow of what we look at out of this position, right? We mentioned guys like Aaron Donald. Do these guys have the potential to make an impact like he did in the game? But Bresee, to me, his production and where the production came from, all right? So he had double-digit solo tackles last season, which is good for a rookie, right? But what was very impressive was the 4.5 sacks as an interior lineman. That really caught my attention. And just checking his tape out from college, I felt he not only affected the plays as a stout interior guy on the run, but this kid was also able to be productive on a pass rush in college. You come in the league as a rookie and you get 4.5 sacks. Like, that's a decent average for a defensive tackle. Like, if you have 4.5 sacks, let's say 20, 25 solo tackles, you had up knocking on 50, 60 tackles total, man, that's almost Pro Bowl numbers. Unless somebody, like, you got to think about it like this. Like, Aaron Donald is for sure he's a first-round ballot. The second he's eligible, he's going in. He's going to get the gold jacket. He averaged 10 sacks a year. So I think the ceiling for Bresee is high. When you look at how he affected the game a lot of times last year for the Saints, saw him get a hand up a few times to bat the ball down, constantly adding pressure to the quarterback. And I said where it comes from, he came off the bench. So here's a guy who, and don't get it wrong, New Orleans ran a pretty tight rotation up front, but I think that kid has a lot of upside, and he's number 3 on my list. Now, number 2 and number 1 on the list, we're going to get to that for a second, but we'll take a quick break and give our sponsors a little bit of their shine. We're coming right back. It's Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
Are you looking for your dream home?
Well, if that's the case, you need to contact Joe Piccolo at Godwin Realty, right here in New Orleans. Joe can put you in your dream home right away. Joe Piccolo and the folks over at Godwin Realty put you in the house that you need. Even if you're looking to invest in some property, they'll do an excellent job with that as well. Contact Joe today at 504-251-8341. Again, that phone number is 504-251-8341. And also contact Joel at joel.godwinrealty.com. No need to dream anymore. Godwin Realty will put you in the dream house of your reality. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. It's the host of Inside the Trenches podcast, Marlon Big Fave Favorite. Did you know Small Sliders had an app? You can go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store right now, download the Small Sliders app in Marrero, and order your food right now. You want to get a number 2? Well, slide through. 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Small Sliders, simple on purpose. Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right, when you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody. Oh yeah. That must have did this beat. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. Want to take a quick break. Thank y'all for joining us here on 5 with Fave, Inside the Trenches, brought to y'all by ESPN New Orleans. We live in the New Orleans Talk Network studio, representing baby. Now y'all heard 5 through 3. Just to recap those, newly drafted defensive tackle to the Seattle Seahawks, Byron Murphy III, right? You have Mason Smith with the Cowboys, and you have Brian Bresee at 3 for the New Orleans Saints. Number 2 on my list, unfortunately, I'm staying in the NFC South for all my 504s out here, but it's definitely Calijah Kancey. When this kid was in college, he reminded me so much, like out of all the guys I'm going to mention today, he reminds me the most of Aaron Donald. He plays with those good hands. He's very crafty in his pass rush. I mean, I want to say he had like maybe 6 sacks last year. I might be over-exaggerating a little bit. I think he had possibly like 5 sacks last year. So the production was there. I mean, you watch the tape on the sacks that he got there. You see the Aaron Donald chops, and, you know, this kid puts on a clinic in terms of pass rush. I was really hoping we would have got him just because of the tape. But Bresee actually was a little more productive last year. He did have 4 sacks. Kancey, 19 solos, so he had a little bit more than Bresee. But that goes to show you see why I call these guys future stars, that type of production out of a rookie. And both of these teams weren't all that great, right? They didn't come in on already established teams that had Super Bowl potential early on. So I thought that was very interesting as well in their production. But the reason I put Calijah Kancey over Brian Bresee, I think he's a little more athletic. Bresee may be a little bigger, but you know, this guy here is 6 foot tall, and then Bresee has more upside, right? I think Bresee's like 6'3". He's about closer to 300, if not right at 300. But when I tell you this kid, Calijah, he is a dog. I mean, the swim moves, I mean, you see it on the tape. He's definitely a future star in this league, and I wouldn't be surprised if he would be in the number 1 spot for next season. He's a dog. Now, before I reveal number 1, I like to talk about what goes into creating the ultimate defensive tackle, right? When you start thinking of like creative players on like Madden, and shouts out to NCAA coming back out. Can't wait to get it on that PS5. But when you start thinking of D tackles and what makes up the fabric of a top tier guy, size is going to jump out, especially when you're looking at a kid from high school to college. Like, that's one thing they look at. If a kid's like 6'4", 320 pounds, coaches are salivating over to get him in because of the size. So my number one guy possesses the size. I mean, he's got to be like 6'5" plus, right? 330 plus, but moves swiftly, right? Not the best 40 time, but he moves. He's won in college. He's won national championships in college. So not just winning, like winning the big show. And I do think that when you start looking at all the other tools to a defensive tackle, a dog, right? You go technique. Does he play with good hands on the run? Does he shed the block like a top-tier guy? Could he convert from run to pass if he notices it's a play action, it's a pass, now we got to get after the quarterback? Whereas his football IQ does, when we break the huddle and he sees certain formations, do he go into the film that we saw that week and break down what the possible plays could be ran out of these formations? Like, that's when that football intelligence comes in. And then most importantly, like, could he just dominate? Like, whenever, I mean, it seems like this is a tribute to Aaron Donald, but whenever Aaron Donald's on the field, we know he's about to dominate. Reggie White dominated. John Randle dominated. Dwight Freeney, all the way to the end of his career, dominated, right? Even like the years you brought him in just for the pass rush, on third down, he's getting after it. He was with Arizona where Dwight, what you wearing? 54 or something like that. Shouts out. I was with Dwight a little bit, mentor of mine, a little bit in Indianapolis. And then get this, the next year they draft my little bro Drake Nevis, and then he's had some of the same teammates I had as well. But that's just the overall thing you look for in a defensive tackle. And my number one guy, the guy that has the most upside out of the guys I mentioned, and I threw his height off a little bit and his weight, 6'3", 313, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter from Georgia on my mind. Yeah, him, Philadelphia Eagles, straight dog. Last year, 6 sacks, 20 solo tackles. He had 2 forced fumbles. I mean, you cut the tape on, you just see the pure dominance, just the body lean, the weight. And then he's next to his other teammate, Jordan Davis, who's another guy. I would put him as an honorable mention of the guys I just recently talked about. So, I mean, Philadelphia, if they do something serious this year in the NFC East, these two guys in the middle will have a lot to do with it, particularly Jalen Carter. I mean, just was arguably the best defensive tackle in his draft when he came out 2 years ago. And to me, he's the next big star in terms of young defensive tackles coming out, coming in the NFL this 2024 season and moving forward. Yep, well, that does it, y'all, for 5 with Fave. Shouts out to my guys over here in the studio, Tarek and Mike, for helping us put this together. And remember, y'all can check this out. Remember, we're doing for the summer schedule. I would like to run this to y'all again as we're getting ready to go into July. We're Monday live at Small Sliders, 6 to 8 p.m. This Monday, we're going to have the John Eric football team out there. Coaches are going to come out and talk with us. Players, we're going to enjoy some sliders, talk a little football as they get ready for their 2024 football season, school year. And we will also have, or we're set to have, Cam Dolan from the NOLA rugby team come on over, talk a little rugby with us. And I'm looking forward to getting his take from what he feels about, actual football rule, the new deal with us. So we're going to definitely get with Cam. And remember, that's on the ESPN.com app, right? You go to ESPN1003.com for more information. Click on the on-air app to see Inside the Trenches. You can watch this episode and many more on this app. And I want to thank y'all for tuning in to 5 with Fave, baby, where we give y'all a little doses of what I'm thinking. What's my top 5? Top 5 song, music, top 5, whatever, baby. But today, we definitely want to talk about the next stars in the NFL Inside them Trenches, baby. Well, thank y'all for y'all time. Y'all have a good one. Shouts out again one more time to all of our sponsors: Godwin Realty, Montero Motors over at 1512 North Causeway. Get you a nice used car from my man Alberto. Shout out to Small Sliders in Marrero. 1635 Barataria Boulevard. Y'all be sure to check them out as well. And we'll be back with more 5 with Fave on our next time doing it. Peace out. Hello.